Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Kicking It with Coach K podcast. I am your host, Coach K. I'm here with my man, Coach Kev Rogers, in the house with us tonight. We're going to talk about some football. We're going to talk about the game this past weekend. We're going to touch on some different subjects within sports, high school athletics. We got all types of stuff we're going to talk about today. Before we jump in, though, I'm going to make this I'll make this quick tonight, Coach, so we can dive into this stuff. But this show is brought to you by Brain Jerk Entertainment, Kennedy Health and Wellness. Welcome to the Brain Jerk era. Again, we appreciate these guys for everything they do. The podcast content's growing each week. We're getting ready to relaunch a certain show that these guys were doing for a while that I'm looking forward to helping out with these guys, and as far as putting out some other content that's not sports related, but just diving into different things, right? So I'm excited for that. Kennedy Health and Wellness is your one-stop shop. Everything wellness, from body care to candles. Right now, we got our huge winter holiday sale going on. Make sure you guys check out KennedyHealthWellness.com. Cyber Monday, big stuff going on tomorrow. Make sure you check us out. We need to show some love to several sponsors of this show. These are all obviously staples of our community. They do a lot for our student athletes. They do a lot for just, again, business, everything within our community. They're not just structures and businesses, right, but the people that make this place go. And again, just a lot of love for everything they do for Monroe County Athletics. We want to give some love to Amaya's Fresh Mexican Grill, the Little Brown Jug, Lane's Pizzeria, IWR, Nerdy Designs, All Heart Athletics, Monroe County Sports Network, 1817 CrossFit, Big Back Prep, and Back Road Baggers. Appreciate you guys for your support of this show as well. Quote of the day: every day is an opportunity disguised as a challenge. That's by Tiki Barber. If you don't know who Tiki Barber is, you've been lost for a long time. Go watch the film. But every day is an opportunity disguised as a challenge. A lot of times we see a lot of things in our life as negative, right? We see them as something that's bringing us down rather than an opportunity to actually rise. With everything you're going through on a day-to-day basis, there's a lot of opportunities within that. Read of the week is Pound the Stone by Josh Metcalf. Pound the Stone. Just a book about getting up every day, doing things regardless of the result, continuing to work, continuing to believe in what you're doing, and getting up and taking care of business. As we, before we jump in, Coach, and we talk about some different topics, we always like to just start with getting to know a little bit about yourself and your journey.
Okay. Kevin Rogers started as a youth coach in the city of Detroit. And like most, wanted to morph into the high school level. Got into the high school level, became a coordinator at Detroit Central in 2017. Then went on from there to Belleville High School. Then was fortunate enough to become a head coach at Detroit Loyola High School. Then transitioned from there to Orchard Lake St. Mary's, where currently just coached there the past 2 seasons.
It's a lot of experience at a lot of different levels, man. I know I got a lot of respect for you. We talked about that a little bit the other day, but from coaching, I was at Wayne Memorial with Coach Demps. I was with him at Summit for a little bit, and then I was at Romulus. So, just coming across paths with you, right? Certain coaches, right? Our community it seems big, but it's really tight,
Absolutely.
And I just got a lot of respect for you, a lot of levels of coaching there, and you've climbed your way and really built things, man. And where you go, you seem to really be successful and have a lot of buy-in, and I respect the hell out of that.
I appreciate it. Most definitely appreciate it. And likewise, same thing is respect level. Like you said, the coaching community we think it's so big, but it's really so small. But, right. You got like-minded guys who put in the same amount of hours, manpower, go through the same stress levels as we all do. So, you kind of got to respect each person that's truly doing it with real passion, so.
Right, no doubt about it. Definitely agree. One thing I do like about you, man, you're not afraid to speak your mind. And some of your, hey man, and I love it though. And some of your philosophies are not always traditional, right? And I've noticed that, and I'm like, this is a guy that's not afraid to kind of go against the grain and do his thing and not kind of give a shit what everybody says, right? And I respect the hell out of it. Well, like I gotta ask, like, how do you come up with a lot of your philosophies, or how did you, like, how is this people you were around, like, how is this stuff formed?
First of all, kind of that's kind of always been who I am. Just growing up with friends, family. If those guys were going to go left, I always wanted to be the guy that kind of go right. And I always wanted to make sure I always had my own opinion. If I agree with what you say, I'm going to agree with it. But if I seriously, genuinely don't agree with it, I'm going to speak my mind and give my opinion on it. And it kind of just turned into who I am as a coach. And the guys that I admire and look up to in the coaching profession aren't really traditionalists or, the same old customary guys. So I kind of had a little bit of it since birth, and then I kind of added it.
Right.
And then it kind of just morphed from there.
That makes sense, man. That's sounds like a recipe right there, though. Who, out of curiosity, Coach, who are some of those guys that you kind of look up to, whether it be high school, collegiate? Who are some of them guys?
On the collegiate level, my Mount Rushmore, Coach Urbanmeyer.
Okay.
Extreme competitor, hardworking, relentless. Mike Leach, who, when it comes to radical, you don't get any more radical than him. He's gonna always speak his mind. Rest in peace to the legend.
Rest in peace, man.
And I'm a huge, I might get banned for this, but I'm a huge Art Browse guy.
So I might get banned.
And you know what happened at Baylor. But, in regards to his football prowess, I'm an extreme fan and love and admire everything that he does on the football field. So
definitely, those are Leach is one of my. I'm gonna be honest, man. He's one of my all-time favorites. Just on the field, off the field, his offense, the way he kind of revolutionized the game and the passing game, and
most definitely.
And man, never ever leaving you bored, man. After a game with a post game, you knew you were in for it.
What's the slogan? He marches to the beat of his own drum.
That's right, man. I love it.
When I became a coach, that's kind of always what I wanted to do. March to the beat of my own drum. So
love that. Those are guys definitely. And who do you think? Because a couple of them guys are kind of from the past. You think there's anybody from coaching in the past? You think there's anybody in today's game who kind of mimics those guys and kind of walks?
Absolutely. Coach Prime went and got the best offensive mind in college football, Sean Lewis.
Yep.
To be his offensive coordinator at Colorado. He was a former head coach at Kent State. Offensive coordinator at Syracuse and Bowling Green before that. Oklahoma's offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby, just became the head coach at Mississippi State about 3 hours ago.
He just got a job. Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. Then you got guys like Lincoln Riley, Cliff Kingsbury. It's a lot of great offensive-minded guys who kind of go in those same directions. And everybody's got their own personalities and ideologies behind things, but they kind of fit under that wheelhouse.
Most definitely agree with that. Now I do want to ask this, man, because you've been around and been a part of just some amazing teams, amazing coaching staff. How important was it for you, and what was it like kind of growing up or coming up around some of the best to do this? Definitely some of the best, obviously, in the state of Michigan.
It was big. Being able to see how guys approach not only the games, and this might be weird, but to me, the games are a little bit overrated. I'm a guy that I really love the grind. I really love the off season. I really love going to practice. I really love the preparation, the getting prepared, the putting together the plan of all right, how we're going to build this team. What is our direction? What are we going to look like? How are we going to get the most out of our team? So those are things that I've learned from Coach Welcher, Coach Crowell, how to prepare on a day in and day out weekly basis.
Most definitely. Those guys, obviously the results speak for itself, right? And I'm not just talking about like even the wins and losses. It's the kids sent to school, right? It's all the scholarship offers. That's the stuff that's more important. That's why, man, when I was, because I'm in probably my 7th year next year, might be my 8th, but when I'm still young, man, and like I look at people like Corey, like Coach Parker. I look at guys like Coach Crowell. Like them are guys that I look up to, like as I'm coming up. Like, man, one day that's the shoes you want to be. You want to be a guy who sends kids. Coach Oden, shout out, who just got him a state title. Like, you want to be in the shoes of them guys who send kids to school and just do this stuff at a high level.
And it's funny because you can ask Coach Parker, me, him, Coach Oden. I mean, we'll Zoom till 4 or 5 in the morning. Our wives be like, "Come to bed," and Coach Parker used to tell me all the time, because we used to talk about, state championships, sending guys to school, like things like that. And he said you'll never really, until you become a head coach, you'll really kind of appreciate it more. Because being a coordinator at Belleville, at Central, we send guys to school, but just being a coordinator is kind of like, okay, they come in, they go. But when I became a head coach, and then I finally had my first graduating class, and I sent those guys to school, that on signing day, it was kind of a big deal. Almost, brought me to tears, because I'm like, wow, it really is different. And, the wins are great. And I wouldn't have said this before I became a head coach. The wins are great, the victories, the trophies, but it's really nothing better than, seeing your guys walk across the stage and then seeing your guys go on to the next level. And I promise you, I wouldn't have said that before I became a head
coach. Fulfilling, man. Fulfilling. Is that?
Yes, definitely.
Is it in your interest to be a head coach again? Is that something you're looking for eventually again?
I'm not really like a power struggle guy, so I don't have to be the head coach. I don't have to be the guy. All of my ideas don't have to be the, last and final say so. So I love doing it. I love the position that I was in. So I would like to do it again, but I don't have to do it. I don't have to be a head coach. You know what I'm saying? If that makes any sense.
That's a good place to be in, though, man. Like I get that. That's a good mental place and a good place to be in. Like it's, something that that tells me like the right opportunity falls. Boom, I'll take it. I'll love it. I'll embrace it. But I'm also open to these other opportunities that I will love and embrace too.
Absolutely.
So I think that's great. Honestly, man.
And also, not to cut that off, but
no, you're good.
My circle of guys that I coach with are extremely strong, and I respect those guys so much that I'm kind of pushing those guys. Hey, you go interview, you go apply for that job. Hey, you be the head coach. If we all believe in each other like we say we are, I can be the head coach. You could be the head coach.
Right.
It doesn't matter if we truly believe in the real reason what we're doing it for, and then believe in each other ultimately. So,
What a message, man. No, that's a big message, because that's the way a program should be ran. So Coach Sturz, when I was over at Romulus, man, great dude. He used to sit at the tables and be like, look, bro, there's not like, this ain't head coach, assistant coach. This is like, we as staff that's got to get this shit done, to like, we're together. This is not like I have to say this and that. He was like really about like, how are we going to build this thing together? And
absolutely.
And it also humble, right? Like, although we're all like, everybody knows coaches are, man, we all believe hard in what we believe in as coaches. right?
Most
Like if
definitely.
you're a wing T guy, bro, you believe the wing T is the greatest thing on earth. And then somebody like me
Absolutely.
who runs more spread offense, more, same kind of offenses that you run, to be honest, not the exact same, but we run similar offenses to the same styles, right? And so to
Absolutely.
me, like the wing T ain't the end all be all, right?
Right.
And now poke holes in their argument, they'll poke holes in mine, and that's what's talking football. But you
Absolutely.
know, but every coach believes that. But at the same time, if you're humble enough, like yourself, like Coach Surs, if you're humble enough to sit back and go, the more ideas we can kind of get flowing in the room and the
Yes.
more work we can get done together, the better off we can
Yes.
be. Because
Yes.
I think, and if you're not, like, you're probably not surrounding yourself with a very good staff. You know what I
Most
mean?
definitely. I mean, I tell my guys all the time, if we just have a random person, from outside of our program who doesn't know anything, they should be confused when they get to our practice because it shouldn't be a distinct difference in who's the head coach. They shouldn't be able to say,
Oh, I love that.
that's the head coach right there.
I love that.
Um, we all should be like little bees. We're all alpha male, so none of
Yep.
us is queen bee. so we all should be so we all should be working together and moving around. And whether I'm the head coach, whether you're the offensive coordinator, whether you're the special teams coach, we all should look like we're on the lowest of the totem pole. We all should be getting our hands dirty. We all should be sweating. We all should be screaming, yelling,
Love it.
whatever it takes. I just don't think that it should be a distinct difference where you can look on the field and say, that's the head coach right there. Everybody should be working, getting their hands dirty.
That's a big message. No, I love that. That's a huge message. That's how you build a successful program. It's the I know a lot of stuff, like, people say that, oh, there's a lot of coaching stuff that's kind of cliche, but there is something to that stuff, right? Like, that stuff works, and it's worked for
Yeah,
a long time. That's why you do it, right?
and that's the reason they become cliche is because they stood the test of time.
Right, right. And that's one of those things, man, where, like, selfless culture, it sounds like every clinic says it, right? Like, you got to have a selfless culture, but, like, you say it because when you really actually obtain it, and it's actually a bitch to obtain. Like, it's actually hard to obtain that, especially in certain areas or certain schools, like, maybe your program's been down for years, so maybe, people, it's harder to get buy-in, selfless culture, everybody. It's just all types of variables, right? So, like, that's actually harder. That's a hard thing to achieve. But once
For
you
sure.
get it, it's like, oh man, it's over. We're cooking. Yup,
Yes.
that's it, man.
It's like you on Easy Street.
Yup, 100%, hundred
It's a thing
percent.
of beauty.
You guys, so man, one thing I gotta ask about, I from a football standpoint, I have to know, and this is kind of going on a different path here, but I see your videos all the time, right? And I'll be real with you. So I'm a defensive coordinator. I'm not a quarterback coach. I will never claim to be by any means. Not my spot. But what advantage do you have teaching that sidearm throw? Like, what advantage is there to that? And does that not, like, kind of naturally, maybe, like, I guess, almost limit the range you can get the ball? Like, I see you post it, and I'm so curious why that philosophy is pushed.
Technically, it's not a sidearm. It's the most
Okay.
natural throw because if you pick up a kid, he could be 4 years old, 5 years old, and if he's never seen a football, heard of football, know what a football is, you put the ball in his hand, he isn't going to naturally throw the ball over the
Right.
top.
Right.
That's a taught mechanic that's been flawed for years. So what I do is I teach to lower the arm slot to the point where there's the least tension as possible, and it opens up your range of motion to get to full extension so the ball can travel further. And then we teach rotational force as opposed to linear force where the ball dies down on you like a pitcher on a mound. They use linear force because they want the ball to drop down as opposed to rotational force where you want to, it's almost like working smarter and not harder.
That makes sense, actually, in a crazy way. That's why I asked, man, because I'm like, this is a smart dude, a smart coach. Like, he don't go about his business with no Because, man, like, I've seen you get into it with people about, like, football, whether it be, like, X's and O's, collegiate. Like, I'm like, man, you step with Kev in the ring, bro, you better have some shit, some backing and some evidence. Like, you better be ready. And I'm like, hey, man, you better
and that's the thing. I'm by no means saying I'm the smartest guy, and I don't debate or go back and forth with guys to be a smart ass. But I know my stuff. I study my stuff, and a lot of guys they go off of absolutely because if it's like if somebody was teaching you how to cut hair, like you said, you don't poke holes in it. If you don't know your stuff and you're teaching it to kids and you're professing this stuff all over the world, now you're misinforming a lot of people. You get what I'm saying?
No,
I'm just passionate about my craft. I love what I do. I'm just passionate.
Right. No, I love it, man.
All in general.
But that's what we need, because football, to be honest, is not being coached like extremely well right now at a lot of different levels. Like, I'm just being real about that. Like, it's not like there's certain things in football that if you watch today in certain positions that there's maybe less dominant college players. It's just it could get better, right? And I think your point is huge, because it's like, man, if you can't come to me with a real reason to do something, or why you're doing it, or why this team should do it, or why this kid should do it, like, I'm going to challenge that, and I'm going to say, here's what really should happen, or like, why do you think that, right? And you're a person who does that. So man, that's big. I respect it. As far as the quarterback stuff, I had no idea, man. But now that you explain it like that, it's like, damn, okay, that kind of clicks and makes sense to me. And the whole natural part of it. So do you actually find it's easier to kind of, I guess, how do I put this? I guess fine tune or develop a kid's throwing because you're not reteaching the body to do something that it naturally doesn't do. Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Just like, walking, when you learn to walk, I've never seen a kid. I don't have any children, but how old are you when you start walking?
A couple years, I think, right?
Okay. Let's just say you're 3 years old when you start learning how to walk. You don't naturally start walking backwards, do you? No, you start walking forward. That's the thing. That's science. Those are facts. That's the way your body is prepared. 100%. No kid ever started walking backwards. But if we start teaching them to walk backwards, then that would be a flawed mechanic that we're teaching them.
That's a crazy way to put it, but yeah, that's definitely
you can take 10 kids that has never touched a football, seen a football, or even know what a football is, put the ball in their hands and say throw it. They're gonna sidearm, quote unquote, what the football is, because that's what their body naturally tells them to do. For me to get this ball from here to there naturally. I played quarterback my entire life. From 4 years old to out of high school, it was force the ball here, force the ball here, force the ball here. You got to throw over the top. You got to throw the top, because they teach guys you got to throw over the line. Well, quarterbacks don't throw over the linemen. They throw through windows.
100%.
You get what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter if you're 6'6". It doesn't matter if you 6'1" or 5'6". And, it doesn't matter. People say, "Oh, you throw sidearm, so the ball got batted down." Well, defensive linemen are taught that. That's a trained technique. So it doesn't matter how you throw. If a defensive lineman is athletic enough, they're going to get the ball and bat it down.
People don't know that.
That has nothing to do with height, arm release, talent, ability. None of that. That's all defensive line.
As a defensive coordinator, like, I'm not gonna lie, our guys work we work hand up, we work bat the ball down, we work all kinds of that stuff in the back.
Absolutely.
When that shows, we teach, get your hand in front of the mirror of the ball when it's about to come out. Everything that, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I know that all, like, man, that's why I had to ask it, because I'm like, there's some magic to this method, man, and I'm unlocking the secret here, because there's something to it, and it makes sense. Like, it really makes.
Absolutely. Like, just like when you watch boxers, and they're moving. Everything is nice and compact and smooth. You don't just see guys out there hauling back, throwing haymakers,
right?
Because they're using rotational force and they're working smarter and not harder and creating more energy with less effort, as opposed to, trying to do those haymakers and then get knocked out.
Coaches, free game. Boxers also free game. Don't get your ass knocked out. But coaches, free quarterback game, and that's good stuff, to be honest. That's the stuff when I said, like, I can't wait to talk football this off season with, like, man, this off season I'm trying to get with everybody and anybody in the coaching world. I'm coming to the clinics. I'll be up in Lansing. I'm coming to Glacier, and man, I hate to say it like this, but it was like ever since becoming a coordinator, my love for, like, diving into it, it became even deeper. And it was already, like, even being just a position coach, I was already into it. But I'm like, man, now I want to know everything about this damn game. I know I won't, but I want to know it all.
Absolutely. I go back to my first year ever coaching. I'm coaching youth football. I started off young, so I'm coaching my senior year. I'm like 16, 17. The kids I'm coaching are 14. So I got all of my cousins, and we're loaded, okay? And I'm thinking that I'm this great coach. We're undefeated. We go to the championship. We get ready to go to Illinois to play the game to advance for nationals. And I mean, I'm telling you, if you looked at this team that we're about to play, you would laugh. You would be like, oh man, this is about to be a blowout. And it's the first and only game I've ever got shut out.
Oh man.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on, wait a minute. I got all these studs and we got shut out 6-0. And ever since then, I'm like, listen, there's information out here that coaches know that I don't know. And I've been thirsting to know. Like, I don't want anybody to know something that I don't know or have, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, definitely.
Since then, I've been just a thirst for knowledge.
Just going. Yup, I love that.
Absolutely.
That's why you've elevated, though, man. Because there's coaches that do this, and then there's coaches that do this, and I've kind of learned that, man. Especially, like, I'm trying to elevate. Like, I came back home, started this podcast and different things to elevate sports in Monroe County, and I'm trying to tell people, like, I'm saying, like, man, there's some people that in downriver in Michigan, in the Metro Detroit area and stuff that, like, really do this, man. And you can create some great programs out here. Even the programs that aren't necessarily ideal, you can cook some stuff up at a lot of places, man. But you gotta want it, though. Like people like you and I, people like our circles, the people that we grew up under, like, you gotta really want that stuff.
You gotta want it and you gotta believe it.
Yeah, 100%.
You gotta live in it. You gotta move in it. You gotta walk in it. You gotta act in it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, like, I respect a ton of programs because of either their schemes or because of their talent or because of the culture, the brand of football that they play. And there's a million ways to skin a cat. There's no better system than the other. There's no greater than, everything is all even. It's just who truly believes, who truly sticks to the plan, and who is going to thoroughly execute that plan, stick to it, stay to it, believe it, and live it.
That's facts. Yep, that's facts. Because I think it's funny. I hear a lot. Like, you'll hear a lot of people say, like, "Oh, when I become a coordinator, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna run this, or I believe." And it's like, man, I've always said this, like, people won state championships the last few years running wing tees, and they've won them running spreads. They've won them running 4-3s. They've won them running 3-4s. Like, it's
absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's like you said, it's really about, can you create the buy-in, and then again, that cliche word, but can you get that culture in place, right? But that's a real thing. Like you said, it's what you walk, it's what you do, it's what you believe in.
Yes.
That's people don't
culture
understand.
Beat strategy 1,000 times.
That's
1,000 times. culture beats strategy 1,000 times.
I love that. So just to continue kind of on that right now, what are your thoughts about high school football in the state of Michigan? Like, where do we stand, and then how can we kind of improve things for our student athletes here, for our football players?
I'm an optimist. I love where we're at. I think that
I'm with you.
we're starting to catch up and compete with some of the other states that are predominantly football year round. I think our state is starting to put out more Power Five, more Top 100, more 4-star, 5-star ranked guys, and I think that's a culmination of our entire state taking youth ball maybe a little bit more serious than what we've had in the past few years. I think that our guys are just as good as any other guys. And we do it with less time and less resources.
Right.
The things that I would like to see us improve on is I wish we could have a little bit more access to our guys, like some type of I'm not gonna say spring football because of our weather, but some type of access to our guys where we get like some type of spring provision so we can, because if you look at guys like Maryland, California, Texas, these guys are getting evaluated in full equipment during the spring. So college coaches are more apt to go down south and go out west to Texas and that because, while our guys are jammed up in an indoor doing drills, those guys are out there in real full equipment and they're getting properly evaluated. So they might push some of our guys further back as opposed to, let's go see Johnny in full equipment. He's got a spring game this week in Detroit. As opposed to, let's go to his field and see if we can get him in some drills and see how his hips look.
Right.
I'm not gonna cry and complain that we don't have spring football, but I wish that it was something or some type of block or period that we could be able to at least go out on the field and do something with our guys.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think it makes the game safer. I think, like you said, it improves recruiting.
Absolutely.
Getting people up here. And then man, when we're all at our best, that's when it's the best, right? Let's make sure every school has time to implement stuff and be at their absolute best.
And that's another thing. I go to 1,000 clinics, January, February, March. And I can't really use none of this good stuff that I learned until August, September.
Right.
It will help us as coaches be better to better prepare our kids, which ultimately makes them safer. If we go learn these techniques from these college coaches, and we got to learn the techniques from the college coaches because those are the techniques our kids are going to use on the next level. Yeah. So we got to learn that. And let's say we learn something in January, February, March.
Very important point.
Now, April, May, we can put those things into practice. And now we know it a little bit better. We're more comfortable with teaching it. Now we can teach it even better, be even more crisp, more prepared come August and September, as opposed to learning something, harnessing it in. And then, come August or September, you either got it or you don't. And it's either hit or miss. And, there's no, all right, that didn't work. Let's go somewhere else and figure out a better solution for our program. Because what works for your program might not work for mine.
For ours, right. No, I definitely understand that. That's a great point too, right? I mean, that's an awesome point. Man, by the time you finish clinics and get all the way to the football season, some of the stuff is I'll be honest, some of it is such great stuff, but like you said, here's the problem. And just to make it even more clear for the listeners is you get a coach from Texas, like you just said earlier, he gives us some shit that we want to go implement, but it may take some time to implement that, right? It's not something you can just go in August or 2 days and say, you know what, we just going to do this now and know it. And man, I definitely agree. That's a big point right there. If we want to make the state the best we can in this game, we've had coaches on. Coach Poe came on from over at Concordia, and we've had guys come on and talk about spring ball before and float different ideas, and it's been a topic we've talked about a lot on here. But we do need something, man. And just to be real, like I hate to say it like this because I know this might sound somebody might take this the wrong way, but I think personally, football coaches care more than most coaches in the building and teachers. Like, I'm just going to be 100%.
Oh, big facts. Big facts.
And I know somebody listen. I know that might piss some basketball coach somewhere or some track coach might see.
There's an exception or two at every, but for the most part, absolutely.
But I think, like Kev, you know, coach, bro, you know what we like. You know the stuff we've done. Like on the field, off the field, like to help kids, to do stuff for kids, to get them places as far as
absolutely.
Like, man, I don't think any other sport has done the things that football and the grind. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't see track in my schools. At least I've been to 4 schools and I ain't never seen the track in the weight room in the winter. But we are.
Never saw them checking grades.
Right, I never seen grade checks like we do. It's wild, man. It's. Never seen I've seen coaches bring shirt and ties so that kids got stuff to wear on game days. Like,
absolutely.
You know, it's a different. And I know somebody will rub that'll be rubbed wrong, but it's like, man, we wash people's clothes for them. Like we do everything for real.
Absolutely. You feed them, you clothe them, you house them, you do everything you can. You do everything you can.
100%, man. So one more thing, as far as this subject goes, there was something I read the other day, and it was about NIL in Michigan. Is this really a thing? And is something like this? You could see something really work in high school football here.
Like I say, I'm an optimist, so I'm gonna keep my head. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on it. If it can work, I would like to see it work. I would like to see it done the right way, though, and not taking advantage and turning this thing into the wild, wild west.
I agree.
If it could possibly legitimately work, I'm all for it if it's done the right way. And if it's done with some class and tact, I'm okay with it. But if it's gonna be the wild, wild west, if it's gonna be cutthroat, you know, then I don't want no parts of it.
I agree with that, man. That's almost what I'm worried about too, to be honest. I'm slightly worried. But no, I think any opportunity that people have, one thing I don't like is people always say, well, now a kid might be able to make more money than a coach or something. And it's like, realistically, that doesn't happen, not very often. And it's like, second off, like we as people have every opportunity to go make more money every day, add to our resume. You can go DoorDash if you want and make an extra few bucks every day. Like there's a lot of stuff to do, right? So for me, if a kid can feed himself a little bit, maybe be
absolutely.
That's the type of stuff that I'm like, okay, let's figure it out.
Let's just be serious. This is one of my kids, so let's just say Bryce Underwood, starting quarterback for Belleville.
Shout out.
Every Friday, people come far and wide to see him play at Belleville. And let's just say come Tuesday, it's a random day of the week, he's hungry, and he don't got $3 to buy a honey bun or juice from the school store. I mean, who are we to say this guy can't get a bag of chips? Yep. He can't buy a sub from the school store if he don't get free lunch? Like, that's crazy to me, know.
And see, you like us being in the unique positions of coaching, like a lot of people don't understand how real that is. And I'm like, man, that's a very, very real thing. Very, very real thing. And it's not like, so I've been at 4 schools, right? And all 4 schools, that stuff happens. And it doesn't matter where I was at. It doesn't matter what division school was, how many kids were in the school. Doesn't matter the demographic. It's always had the same, not maybe to the same level at every place, but you've always seen that type of stuff, man, everywhere. So
look at the most famous thing with and everybody laugh at it, but remember when Jameis Winston got caught stealing the lobsters?
The crab legs, or the
Yeah,
lobster.
crab legs. But nobody really realizes the fact that this guy had to steal crab legs or lobster.
As a starting quarterback for a top
the number
team
one team in the country,
and
the number one grossing in the team in the country. I mean, come on, man. These guys are playing live on ABC, NBC with 6-7 million watching people, man. And this guy after the game couldn't get crab legs.
He can't eat.
They can't even. I mean, you got millionaires sitting back going to 5-star dinners after the game, and they didn't move a muscle. The guys who actually put the pain in, put the work in,
can't eat.
They can't even go celebrate with a box of pizza.
Yep. It's sad, man. I'm glad NIL got passed for collegiate. I still wish there were some ways we could improve it and find ways to, like, I love that the quarterback gets paid, but I wish we found a way to make sure, the left tackle and different ideas to float out there to get it. But it's a start, right? You got to start somewhere. And we were nowhere, and now we're somewhere. So, speaking of, what's that?
I was just gonna say that somewhere is always better than nowhere.
Definitely, you got to have that starting point. Speaking of Bryce, though, man, I got a question. So I met Bryce. I went up to the Michigan camp this past summer, and there was a 7-on-7 going on in there, and Belleville was in there, and Harper Woods, and some schools, obviously. And I'm like, shoot, man, I gotta step in.
They lit us up.
Yup. Go say hi to some guys and see what's up. And so I watched Bryce throw a little bit, man. He didn't do much that day. He wasn't out there a whole lot, but watched him a little bit. And I've watched some film. I've caught some games this year. He's incredible, man. My question for you is he the best to come through throwing the ball here ever in high school?
And I've coached them all, man. I've had them all since they were young. I won a national championship with Bryce. He was 9 years old. I was running midline veer triple option with him.
I love it.
Dante Moore was playing tight end for Isaiah Marshall before I took Dante. Dante Moore was playing tight end for Isaiah Marshall before I took Dante Moore and said, hey, you're a quarterback too. Wow. So I've had them all. I coached them all. I've seen them all. Christian Durie is the best. He's the best. He's the best.
No kidding.
He's the best. He's the best. He's the best.
He was a baller, man.
He's the best. And he doesn't have any of the physical attributes that a DeJuan Mathis, a Dante Moore, a Bryce Underwood, a Sam Johnson III. Doesn't have any of that. But he plays the game and his killer instinct, his mentality. He's always 4 steps ahead. He has ice water in his veins. Like, the kid don't blink. There's not ever a situation where he's nervous. There's never a situation where he's confused. There's never a situation where he's iffy, where no, there's nothing. He's always composed. And not saying that the other guys don't have that, but
right.
He's at
different levels, though. I get it for sure.
He's on another level. If he was 6'4", 6'5", he'd be the greatest quarterback ever. Period.
That's, man, what a statement. But I can't even argue that because, like, well, first off, I mean, I got beat by him, so I saw it firsthand when I was at Wayne. So, like, I get it. And then I really kept up with him along because, again, I thought, like, he was a guy who he didn't have a lot of offers, man, because I remember at least
because of his stature, his size,
because everybody looks at them intangibles instead of looking at the film, though, and like what people can do on a football field. And like I always remember saying that, though, being like, man, sometimes the combine numbers ain't everything, man. It's not the end all be all for every single guy, right? Like there's guys that test out that look great and then they get to the field and it's and then there's guys that don't test where they run a 4.7, but their field speed is incredible. You're like, damn, on a football field they can move.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so
like Emmitt Smith. I mean,
Right.
You can't tell that Emmitt Smith got great forward body lean and vision and one cut ability at a combine. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yep, definitely.
Terrell Davis, 4'9", 40, but he understood the system, understood his role, and you can't tell that, he's a great zone runner in a combine. You know
that
what I'm
was
saying?
exactly what Christian was, man. He was a baller, and he did things the right way, and he made the plays, man. I got a lot of respect for that. Man, you don't got to tell me nothing if you know something, but you think Bryce stays home? You think he stays? Let me put it this way: you think he stays Midwest, or you think he goes somewhere south?
We'll put it like this: I'm a Florida Gator. I'm a Gator fan. And I've tried to talk all of them into going to the Florida Gators, and they ain't buying it. So
hey man, I ain't gonna lie, I don't blame you at all. Bryce is the real.
I'm tired of getting my heart broken. So in this situation, I genuinely don't know where he's going. I wish it was Florida, but I'm pretty sure it ain't. So
he's got a lot of choices. He's got I seen Dion just jumped on the train, so not too long ago. So that's another one now that you gotta, Dion's always gonna be a force. He's always gonna be a force now. But so man, I gotta ask you, and I gotta put a disclaimer out there. I'm a diehard Michigan fan. I always have been. I know you're not a big time Michigan guy. I know. But I will say this, man.
Well, I was the biggest Michigan fan until they fired Rich Rodriguez.
So I'm with you on the Rich Rod thing. They shouldn't have fired him. And I will say this: I don't mind Jim Harbaugh, but let me put this disclaimer out there before we talk about it. I think Michigan at this point should move on. I think they should cut and just say, go to the NFL, bro. Sharon Moore is a great dude. He's a great coach. I met him back when he was at Central
we got our guy
Michigan.
for the future.
They got to just roll with it, man. Harbaugh is a little bit of a headache. I'm not gonna lie. He's a little bit of a headache, and I think his time.
A lot that comes with that, It's a lot 100%. That comes with him. A lot of attention.
And I don't.
He's a great coach, so the NFL is always going to poach and peek at him and see if they got a shot. And we all know, and he knows it, that he's an NFL guy.
Yeah,
he's an NFL guy.
Yep.
The same way Urban Meyer said, you know what, this guy Ryan Day is special. You figured out that this guy Moore is special. Just go ahead and give it to him, man.
Just do it, man. It's the same thing. I know Notre Dame's not a national title contender, but I still actually like Freeman, man. I still believe in Freeman.
Me too.
I'm not on that. I'm not one of them guys who's like Notre Dame screwed. I'm actually the opposite. I'm like, hey man, it takes time. Give that guy time.
And I know a lot of guys. I'm privy to, building a relationship and a rapport with them just from him recruiting guys that I coached and know. And there's nothing bad you can really say about him.
About Freeman?
Absolutely. There's nothing really bad you can say about him.
I can see that. He just seems like such an outstanding coach, bro. Like nothing.
Yeah, man. Energetic, but calm, cool, collected. But he's got some savvy to him, got some swagger. He know he's a dog, but he's not arrogant to where his nose is all up in the air.
Right.
To be honest, Ohio State need to go get him and tell him to go because
he played there.
Yeah, tell him to go back home, man.
So to lead into that, I mean, what are your thoughts on that game yesterday and Ryan Day and just the whole thing? What was your take from yesterday?
I'm probably the biggest Michigan hater. But I gotta give him. Yeah, you gotta give him credit, man. Third game in a row where they've dominated. Well, I'm not gonna say dominated, but they showed that second half. When you win games in the second half, it shows that one, our coaching is pretty decent where we can make adjustments, we can figure some stuff out. Two, we're disciplined, to be able to play the duration of a game with all of the anger, animosity going on in such a big rivalry game like that. All the sparks flying, the cheerleaders, the bands,
Right.
and then the conditioning standpoint of it, mentally and physically, and being able to manage that emotionally. That's hard to do, and they've done it consistently the last 3 games. And I mean, you just gotta give them, a hats off. I think that,
Respect that for sure.
yeah. If you could bleep that out, because I don't want nobody to hear that. But you gotta give them the credit when it's due, man. It's like when you go in the backyard and you put the gloves on and you fight a guy, and you don't knock him out, he don't knock you out, but you're like, hey man,
Right.
this guy gave me his best, and I know I gave him my best. Hey, I gotta respect that guy. You gotta respect it.
Yep. I mean, I felt the same way as a Michigan fan, honestly. I was like, damn, good fight, man. This was a hell of a game. Honestly, if Ohio State had slightly better quarterback play, I kept saying it like, boy, if that was C.J. Stroud with that running game and that defense, we would have been in trouble yesterday.
And C.J. Stroud never had a great Ohio State defense.
Right. And this one actually, like, I know Buckeye fans, I know Michigan scored a lot in the second half, so it kind of looks rough. But I thought Ohio State's defense played pretty good, man, and made some plays. And what's that?
The thing to me that everybody keeps forgetting, forget that it's a rivalry game. It's a top 5 team playing against another top 5 team. Right. Plays are going to be made. These guys are going to play each other in the NFL or be on the same team with each other.
Definitely. And
it's
both
like
these teams are stacked with them.
Absolutely, man. Like when Georgia plays Alabama, bro.
100%.
Plays are going to be made. People forget that. It's like, we ain't finna just shut out Michigan. We ain't finna just shut out Ohio State.
Right.
Like, these guys might have the best college receiver ever since Randy Moss. Like, come on, man. It's studs all over the field. So plays are going to be made. Mistakes going to happen. Coaching errors are going to happen. Like, it's just all how you recover from it, how you sustain through the 4 quarters of
that's what I think made me so kind of like confirmed my, like, man, I already have I met Sharon a bunch of times, so like I already got that personal, like, man, I've talked ball with this guy, so I'm rooting for him. Right? Like, just because you're gonna root for somebody that you know through like association or whatever, than just random. But like I thought he out-coached Day, man. I thought like he was gutsy, he was ballsy, he was like, I'm going for it on 4th. I'm gonna be aggressive as shit today. And I thought Day kind of shriveled in the moment, man, and kind of went into like, I don't want to lose mode more than I want to win mode. And Sharon was more like, I'm trying to win this shit, I'm not trying to lose. Right? It was like, I don't know if that's good for Ryan Day, man, just to finish up on this topic, but you really think he'd be gone after this season? Like, you really think that's a possibility?
I don't think he needs to. Well, I want him to leave because he can't win the big game, but I don't see him leaving. Anybody in their right mind, there's no reason to leave Ohio State. I don't care how much money they're throwing at you. Yeah, you could win a national championship at Texas A&M, but how many people have won a national championship at Texas A&M? Like, let's be honest, man. It's Texas A&M. It's not Texas. It's not like LSU where all you gotta do is just have a good quarterback and you can compete for a national championship. Like, you got another top recruiting class coming in. You got a freak of nature quarterback coming in at Ohio State. You got more of those great, phenomenal receivers that y'all got. It's your first year with making Hartline the offensive coordinator.
Right.
He's got to kind of grow more in that role, and Ryan Day's kind of got to get his foot off the pedal a little bit and let him take a little bit more ownership of that. Just my opinion. but there's no reason to leave unless you're just money hungry. Now, if you're money hungry, you go to A&M,
Go
get
get
the
that
bag,
15 mil.
yeah,
Right.
and get your head beat in for the next 5-6 years because that's how long it's gonna take you to build a national championship team.
Yep.
You in the
At A&M.
you go to the SEC, man. You in the den of thieves, man. You got Alabama, you got Georgia, you
It's
got
not just
Tennessee.
Michigan. Right.
Yeah.
Right now, I hate to say it, but the Big Ten is literally just you got Penn State kind of flirting around, but it's really just Michigan. Get through Michigan, you go to the playoff. Like if you go to the SEC, boy,
Absolutely,
bro, you got like 5 teams you got to get through in the SEC.
Yeah, if you Ohio State, Ohio State, Michigan, or Penn State, you got 2 games you got to win.
Yep, 100%. And instead of a
knock these 2 guys off, and I'm in the playoffs.
Yep. Just like Michigan now. I mean, Michigan is. I mean, they're not losing to Iowa, right? They're not. That's not going to happen. They're in the playoff, and it's 2-game season. Can you win them too? Now, next year it gets a little harder, right? Lincoln's coming, Oregon's coming. Oregon.
But right now,
I think
you're in it to win it.
Right. I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited. The only thing I'm worried about as a Michigan fan, to be real, is I'm worried Michigan's good enough to get to the national title, and we start really believing it, and Georgia's just still too damn good. Like that's what I'm nervous about. I'm like, man, I don't give a damn that they were playing tight with Georgia Tech Saturday. They was already getting ready for Alabama. Like, I just feel like that one makes me. I just feel it, man, in my heart. I'm like, that football team is so.
No, that Michigan football team can play with anybody.
Man, that's big.
Because even though they lost, I still feel like Ohio State can play with anybody in the country.
And that's real, man. I mean, I know it's last year, but I mean, they played with they should have took Georgia to OT or beat them last year, right? Like they were right there. They
should have won.
That's what's crazy is OSU is right there, man. That's what the craziest part is. Like Michigan is just so damn good, and Ohio State's so damn good right now that the margin of error is like it's thin, man.
I mean, just think about that. That game, what was that, Saturday?
Yep.
That game had everything in it but the trophy. I mean, that was a national championship caliber game.
Yep, that was really the first playoff game. That was the Big Ten championship. That was the first playoff game.
Yep.
So before we jump out of here, we're just gonna jump in real quick. We usually do an athlete of the week before we get out of here, Kev. But today I'm actually just going to do our athletes of the week. We're gonna do the state champs. So the state championship games went on this weekend for anybody listening who might have missed it. Yesterday you had Ubley, Harper Woods, Kingsley, and Muskegon winning their state titles. Today you had Lumen Christi, Grand Rapids Catholic Central, Forest Hill Central, and then right now Belleville and Southfield AT&T are going on. I don't know if, Coach, you're tuning into that right now. I'm actually over here looking for scores right now for an update, but that game's going on right now for anybody that's tuning in and wants to go check it out. Again, congratulations to the state champions this year. We talked about it earlier. We have friends on these staffs. My head coach at Erie Mason is really good friends with the Lumen Christi head coach. We've got friends at Harper Woods, Muskegon. So just huge congratulations to those kids, those coaches. Again, you work your whole life, and you don't necessarily always talk about it, but you know in your heart the goal is always to win a championship, right? Like that's always the goal. And I just got word on D-Zone that Southfield AT&T is up 6-0 right now. But it's early. So 6-0 right now. That game is going on. But again, you work your whole life for that wooden mitten, man. So congratulations to those guys. Much deserved. On this day in sports, in 1917, the NHL formed, featuring 5 teams. And then in 1963, Roger Staubach wins the Heisman Trophy at Navy. You will never see another Navy quarterback most likely win a Heisman Trophy. Love Navy. I'm not, the Navy Army game is awesome. Just don't know if we'll ever
the greatest game of college football.
It is. It's amazing. I just don't think we'll ever see another Navy.
And you heard that from a spread, up tempo,
yep,
air raid, crazy, throw the ball every play. That's the best game of college football. Watch it every year.
Love it. That's what I think they call. Isn't it? They call it America's game, right? It's the only one on that day. So you got to watch it because it's the only one. Coach, we appreciate you coming on. Can't wait to talk football with you this offseason, man. I'll get a hold of you so we can get together and talk ball.
Yes, sir. You gotta have me back. You gotta bring me back.
Yeah, I definitely will, man. Let's have you, man. I'm always open to that. We'll have you on. We can do another episode, or we can even do like if we can get you in studio in the off season, we can do like a chalk talk episode on a board and stuff. We can have a whole little football. Get like Book to come on because I know Book is like the chalk talk king over here. So get a handful of us on, man, and we'll do like a clinic session in here, and we'll do a show out of it.
Awesome.
So I'll definitely get a hold of you. You can find Kennedy Health and Wellness at kennedyhealthwellness.com. You can find Brain Jerk Entertainment at Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find Kicking It with Coach K podcast at Facebook and Instagram. I will see you guys December 10th. We are off next week. I will see you guys December 10th. We have a collab episode with Coach Ed Blair of the Ed Blair podcast. Thank you guys. Have a great night.